Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rage, and we are back today with an announcement here of this trap event starting today, being the Negative Zone Harbinger. My goodness, they have got to release some more original content, guys. Now, if you have not been partaking in the last couple weeks, as well as the last month or so, remember, these Negative Zone events have been back to back to back. The nice thing about this recent one tied back to this leaderboard has been the fact that we were actually allowed to use any 5 characters going through it. Now, starting today, they are going to be bringing back this OG one, which is essentially only allowing us to use the Harbinger characters. And why it's so brutal is because of the fact that depending on which nodes you're doing, depending on which section you're in, there's going to be certain bonuses. But remember, we're only allowed technically 4 teams, but overall, we usually would only have access to 3 teams because Fantastic Four is still getting released, right? Nodes 1 to 8 features raid bonuses, so obviously Vigilante thrives in that, in addition to Thunderbolts. Missions 9 to 12 is featuring Cosmic Crucible bonuses. So this was intended for the Accursed team, but I've heard from folks that use Accursed that they still struggled and still had a hard time going through these nodes. And even then, after that, they've added now 4 more nodes, which is missions 13 all the way to 16, and that's gonna feature the arena bonus, but really intended for Fantastic Four to do well in this and completely plow through it. So guys, I'm making this video because I don't think it's going to be worth your time and your investment. Remember, we've been doing this for week after week, month after month, and this is where I'm finally going to take a break from the Negative Zone. It's going to be nice. It's no wonder they called it the Negative Zone. How can we not think about that as we're doing this, right? The name of this and how often we've actually had to repeat this. I just don't understand the logic behind Scopely, because everyone does not enjoy doing the same thing over and over every single week, and it's been well over a month and a half now of doing this. And why I thought this was kind of refreshing was because this recent one they had where we were allowed any 5 characters, it was actually nice to figure out some teams that you can just throw in and hit auto, right? So that was nice. And guys, remember, what is the risk to reward of what you're doing, right? They do have the rewards already being able to allow for preview here, and it does look like there's going to be some first run rewards, and there's going to be a timed version. But again, these are all resources that we already have access to in the game. There's nothing that you can't already get access to. There's not even gear tier 20 pieces. There's just gear tier 19 for Crimson, unique, which we can already farm all the way in the Intel store, and as well as the normal supply store that we're used to, right? So really, this is just, if you have the time, it's not a good use of the time in game, but if you do have time and you want to just throw in your team and just do the attempt, by all means. Vigilante can actually get most of it done, especially the first few nodes. But then where my concern is going to be is, this next section here where you're not going to be privy to access, obviously. If you're like myself, you also did not build up a curse. You're just going to trek through and have a really hard time going through this last section. And especially since that last section is going to feature arena bonuses where we're up against some pretty heavy hitters and some of the synergies there. But thankfully, it's still not impossible based on the teams that we've seen. It's just obviously Fantastic Four is going to be the preference. And then I see this last note here with Old Man Logan getting the arena bonuses. He's going to be a huge wrecking ball here. But anyways, it doesn't matter because I'm not going to be spending time or resources on this, right? Remember, these are all the Chapter 1 Harbinger rosters, right? So that's Vigilante, Thunderbolts, Accursed, and then as well as the new Fantastic Four members. And it doesn't make sense, guys. Doesn't make sense to pour all these resources, all these upgrades and investment. Remember, even a full Gear Tier 20, Gear Tier 19 Vigilante team also has a hard time with this. So there's just a significant amount of investment for a temporary event that basically just rewards you the same resources that you're pouring into the game. So I don't know, just in my opinion, guys, focus on the game modes that you're prioritizing right now, which is raids, arena, duel, war, and crucible. Focus on the events that's going to give you some meaning in the game, especially if it rewards free character shards like what we're seeing later on with Satana coming into the command center. That's all worth our time, because at least that's something meaningful and unique, and not so much of a grind and just going through for essentially a time fill, if you will, right? And hopefully the player voice movement and even the other envoys and content creators have circulated this back to them, because at the end of the day, this is just not a good use of player time. And this is the exact strategy that actually, I think the wear and tear actually makes players want to quit. as opposed to obviously being engaged in the game and wanting to be a part of the game and maintain that player base for the long term, right? But this is a classic example of just being, not reading the room, understanding what the players want in the community, which is meaningful content, and obviously working your way to obviously being engaged in the game. But yeah, guys, avoid this at all costs. It's just a big deterrence in the week. Enjoy the other things that you're focused on, and don't waste resources unless you just have nothing else better to do. But you've already built up these teams, so you might as well just push them and see how you do in the event for some freebies, right? But it's not going to be a time that I'm using anyways. There's other things to be focused on, and this might be just a great way for you to take a step back in the week, enjoy the screen time, downtime, right? And then obviously we'll see what happens. But as per usual, guys, I'll be back with more updates and whatnot, and if there's anything exciting, we'll be definitely posting that as well. Good luck, though. Hopefully this helps you guys out, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.